Hello students, welcome to EPG Pathshala. I am Dr. Sushma Talegaonkar from Department of Pharmaceutics, Jamia Hamdard. Today we are going to discuss about the module types of impurities in the pharmaceuticals, impurity profiling and the methods of identification of the various types of the impurities from the paper Pharmaceutical and Biological Evaluation. After completing this module, especially the student will learn, or in another word we can say, especially this module is going to be focused on, first is we are going to discuss about the study, the basic of the impurities in the pharmaceuticals and its profiling. The second objective will be to understand the different type of impurities according to ICH in pharmaceuticals. The third objective will be, which we are going to discuss, to highlight the different methods for impurity identification. And the last one is to know the various regulatory guidelines published in reference to the pharmaceutical impurities. So the students, let us first think about what is the impurity. So the impurities in the pharmaceuticals are the undesired substance present in the drug or drug product. These compounds may get incorporated during manufacturing, packaging, maybe during storage, transportation, etc. The degradation product also form the impurities in drug or in the drug product. The presence of these unwanted chemicals, even in small amount, may influence the efficacy and the safety of the pharmaceutical products. Thus, the impurity profiling is now seeking great attention from the regulatory authorities all around the globe. The pharmacopoeia of various countries have incorporated the standards and allowable limits of different impurities that can be present in formulation as well as in the drug. The International Conference on Harmonization of Technical Requirements for Registration of Pharmaceuticals for Human Use has published the important guidelines for validation of the methods for analyzing the various types of the impurities in new drug substances, in different drug products, the residual solvents and microbiological impurities. So the various sophisticated instruments are also available to identify these type of the impurities. So basically the main instruments like HPLC, the mass spectrophotometry, NMR, FGIR can be used for isolating as well as identifying the various types of impurities present in various pharmaceuticals. The regulatory authorities have also established the procedures to be followed for isolation and identification of impurities and the data that has to be collected during this test. Impurity profiling has become an integral part of new drug application, that is NDA, abbreviated new drug application, that is ANDA, and investigational new drug, etc. So the quantification of impurities below 0.1% is not necessary if it is not potent. So therefore this paper aims at studying the various types of impurities that can be found in the pharmaceuticals and the methods that can be used for quantification and qualification or to determine the quality as well as the quantity of the impurities. So the impurities in the pharmaceuticals is defined as an undesirable or the extraneous material present in the drug substance is considered to be an impurity even if it is inert or has a superior pharmacological property. So in both way, whether it is inert or whether it is having some pharmacological property, it is unavoidable. It should not be acceptable in according to the guidelines. So it can also be defined as a substance that itself cannot be an API, that is active pharmaceutical ingredient, or the excipient causes the unwanted reaction in the formulation that cause the severe harmful effects. Regulatory guidelines. ICH guidelines impurities in drug substances, Q3A, we have to follow. ICH guidelines, impurities in new drug products. Then Q3B, we have to follow. ICH guidelines, impurities, guidelines for the residual solvent. Q3C, US FDA guidelines, new drug applications, impurities in new drug substances, and US FDA guidelines for abbreviated new drug application ANDAs, impurities in new drug substances. Terminologies. In few slides, we are going to discuss various types of the terminology we are using in this particular module of impurities. First one is the intermediate, the compound produced during the synthesis of the desired material or as a part of the routes of synthesis is called the intermediate. Penultimate intermediate, it is the last compound in the synthesis chain prior to the production of the final desired compound. Byproducts, the compounds produced in the reaction other than the required intermediates. Transformation products, they are theorized or non-theorized products which are produced in the reaction. Then another terminology, that is interaction products. These products are formed by the interaction of the chemicals either intentionally or unintentionally. Related products, they are chemically similar to drug substance and may even possesses the similar biological activity as that of drug substances. Then degradation products, the compounds which are produced due to the degradation under the influence of external factors like light, heat and moisture. Now, student, we will see what are the various types of impurities they are existing in pharmaceutical field. So, the impurities in the pharmaceutical formulation or in the drug substance broadly classified into the following categories. So, first one is organic impurities, second one is inorganic impurities, third one is the residual solvents, and the fourth one is the elemental impurities. So the next few slides we are going to discuss all these type of the impurities. This particular slide is showing various form or the various sources of the impurities. Like the slide is showing the dissolved organic compounds, then the dissolved gases are also the sources of impurity. Then the dissolved inorganic compounds may also cause the impurities in the product. And there are the various microorganisms and the biomolecules which are present. They are also the sources of impurities, and the suspended particles, they are also the cause of impurities in the product. So one should be very careful while selecting the reagent, while selecting the atmospheric condition, while selecting the some solvents during the manufacturing processes and other quality control processes. Organic impurities. The organic impurities take place during the manufacturing processes and during the storage of pharmaceutical substances or the drug products. It mainly includes following sub-impurities as follows. The first one is like starting materials or intermediate impurities. It is usually occur in all pharmaceuticals whether we have taken proper care during the multiple synthesis or drug product. Example, baclofen yields a potential impurity para-chlorophenyl glutaric acid which has to be evaluated. Another organic impurity, they are the byproducts. It is very difficult to obtain a single end product with complete yield in organic chemistry, or in another word we can say during the manufacturing of a drug molecule or bulk drug. There is always a chance of having byproducts along with the desired end products. Example, diacetylated paracetamol may forms as a byproduct in the case of paracetamol production. Another organic impurity is degradation products. Some degradation products, they are generally formed during the manufacturing of bulk drugs. Example for impurities from the degradation products are generally from the penicillin and cephalosporin. Another type of impurity, it is called the inorganic impurities. Inorganic impurities may also obtain from the manufacturing processes and referred to the impurities consist of major ions like nitrate, phosphate, etc., which are normally known and identified as reagent, ligands, and catalyst. These occurs during the manufacturing processes if the procedure is not followed properly. The heavy metals is another type of inorganic impurities which generally occurs during the manufacturing of many of the bulk drugs. Heavy metals generally, the water is the main source of the heavy metals like sodium, magnesium, chromium, cadmium, and arsenic. And this water is generally used during the manufacturing processes where the acidification or acid hydrolysis take place. This problem can be avoided easily by using demineralized water and glass lined reactors. Other materials in under the category of inorganic impurities, they are filter aids and the charcoal, which are sometimes cause the impurities in the product. The filtering aids and the filters like charcoal centrifuge tubes are generally used in the manufacturing of the bulk drugs, and in some cases activated carbons is also responsible for the source of impurity. Therefore, it is advisable to avoid the contamination by the regular monitoring the fibers and the black particles in the bulk drugs. Now, the residual solvents. This is the another type of impurity which is generally present in the drug substance or as well as in the formulation during the manufacturing. So the residual solvents are potentially undesirable substance which either hazardous to the human health or modify the properties of certain compounds. The residual solvent also affect the physicochemical properties like crystallinity of the bulk drugs, which affect the dissolution properties, color changes in the finished products. ICH classified these substances into three classes. This is the table which is showing the solvents in the pharmaceutical products. Solvents that should be avoided because these solvents, they generally cause some impurities or some toxic or the carcinogens in the final product. So the few examples I have quoted in this particular table. So for example, benzene, when we are using the benzene as a solvent in the manufacturing processes, and the concentration limit is 2 parts per million. And if we are using above this limit, the carcinogenic effect is generally occurred. Similar way, the carbon tetrachloride, the limit is 4 parts per million, and if the concentration is above this limit, the toxic effect will be produced. Now, the third solvent is 1,2-dichloroethane. Well, the limit of this particular solvent in any product is generally given the 5 parts per million. And if the concentration is above this particular limit, the toxic reaction may occur. Similarly, the 1,1-dichloroethane, that is also the toxic solvent, and the parts per million limit is 8. And if the limit is generally of this particular solvent is found above this particular limit, then the toxic effect is generally caused. Then another solvent, 1,1,1 trichloroethane, this concentration limit is 1500 parts per million, and if we are using more than this, then the environmental hazards are generally going to be occur. Again, this is the another table which is showing the solvents with their permissible daily exposure limit in pharmaceutical products. So the solvents to be limited. So this table, there are some common solvent I have taken, and their permissible daily exposure limit is given in this particular table. So for example, acetonitrile, their this permissible daily exposure limit, that is the PDE, is 4.1, and the concentration limit is 410 parts per million. Similarly, this chlorobenzene, this PD is 3.6 and the concentration limit is 360 parts per million. Similarly, the chloroform, the PD limit is 0.6 mg per day and the concentration limit is 60 parts per million. Then the cyclohexane, that is the 38.8 mg per day, is the limit, permissible daily exposure limit, and the 3880 is the parts per million limit. Then similarly the other important solvent is methanol, is the 30 mg per day is the exposure limit, while the 3000 parts per million is the concentration limit in any product. Similarly, the nitromethane, the 0.5 mg per day is the exposure limit, while the concentration limit is 50. Pyridine is the PDE limit is 2, while the concentration limit is 200 parts per million. This is the another table which is showing the solvent which should be limited by the GMP or the other quality based requirements. So solvent with the low toxic potential. So this table is showing the various types of the solvents which we can use, like the acetic acid, acetone, 1-butanol, ethanol, ethyl acetate, formic acid, ethyl ether, then the butyl acetate, heptane, isobutyl acetate, methyl acetate, then the pentane, and the 1-pentanol, 1-propanol, and methylene, this methyl ethyl ketone. Elemental impurities. This is the new type of the impurities defined under the guidelines of ICH. As we know that the metals are very toxic and do not provide any therapeutic benefits, so these should be scrutinized properly at a specified level. So this particular table is showing what are the different classes and what are the different elemental impurities in each class, and the another column is showing include in risk assessment. So the first we are taking the class 1. The metals which are coming under this class is arsenic, lead, cadmium, and the mercury. And definitely the risk assessment, yes, they are very toxic, and one should be very particular regarding their concentration in parts per million. Similarly, the class 2A, under this molybdenum, selenium, and the cobalt is coming. And again, the risk assessment, yes, there is definitely the risk is there, and they should not be present in any preparation. Then class 2B, they are containing the silver, gold, this platinum, and the rhodium and ruthenium. Yes, only if intentionally they are added. So like silver and the gold nanoparticles nowadays, they are generally used for the theranostic applications. They are having the antibacterial property, but anybody who is using this silver or the gold or ruthenium or rhodium, they should be very particular according to the CGMP guidelines, and according to the ICH guidelines, they should be very conscious regarding their concentrations using in the formulation. In similar way, the class 3, under that the barium, chromium, copper, and the tin, nickel, and the antimony, they are the metals they are coming. They are generally, their risk assessment is generally dependent upon the route of administration. So the oral or the parenteral or topically if you are using it, so definitely the different parts per million limits are there. Now there is a class 4 under which the boron, iron, zinc, potassium, calcium, sodium, and the magnesium metals they are coming, and there is no risk regarding this particular metals. Now, impurity profiling. This is the another aspect which we are going to discuss in this module. So nowadays, the profiling of the impurities is another important area in impurity determination and identification. So the impurity profiling is the process of acquiring and evaluating the data which develops the biological safety of an individual impurity in pharmaceutical substances. Nowadays, not only the purity profile but also the impurity profile has become mandatory according to the various regulatory authorities. Impurity profiling mainly includes identification of the impurity, then the structure elucidation of that impurity, and the quantitative determination of the impurity, how much percentage of that impurity is present in the product, and whether that percentage is acceptable or is not acceptable. So if it is not acceptable, then definitely we are going to try to reduce the level of the impurity, and for that we can go for another type of the manufacturing process, or we can switch over to the another solvent, or we can modify some parameters in the manufacturing processes and so on, and make it acceptable. And another thing is the degradation products in the bulk drug material. That is also an important parameter. If we are not storing the bulk drug properly, so the degradation product is also going to be formed during the storage period. And if anybody is using that bulk drug for the manufacturing, so similarly this degradation product will carry out in the final formulation. So the profiling is very, very important from all the aspects. Identification methods for impurities. Now, we have already discussed a different type of the impurities. Now, in this particular slide, we are discussing what are the various methods they are existing for the identification of various types of the impurities in the pharmaceutical products. So, the impurities can be identified by using the following different methods. First, reference standard method. Second, spectroscopic method. Third, separation method. Fourth one is isolation method, and last one is the characterization method, in which we are characterizing the type of impurity. Now, the first method is the reference standard method. The main objective of this method is to provide clarity to the overall life cycle, quantification and governance of reference standard used in development and control of new drugs. The reference standards serve as the basis of evaluation of both process and product performance, and are the benchmarks for assessment of drug safety for patient consumption. These standards are needed not only for the active ingredients in the dosage forms, but also for impurities, degradation products, starting materials, process intermediates, and excipients. Spectrophotometric method. This is the another method which we generally used for identification of various types of the impurities present in pharmaceutical products. So various types of the spectrophotometric method like ultraviolet, infrared, mass spectroscopy, nuclear magnetic resonance, and Raman spectroscopic methods are widely used for identification and quantification of impurities in pharmaceutical substances. Now the separation method. The separation method is another important method for determination or for the separation of the impurity which is present in the drug and the formulation. So the separation method, they are basically includes the chromatographic techniques like thin layer chromatography, high performance or high pressure thin layer chromatography, HPLC, and the gas chromatography, supercritical fluid chromatography SFC, electrophoresis technique like capillary electrophoresis, gel permeations are being frequently used for separation of the impurities and the degradation products. So all these sophisticated methods now they are available for the detection of impurities which are very potent or maybe non-potent, but it is a mandatory requirement of ICH that we should label the impurity which is present in the drug as well as the drug product. Isolation method. This is another method for identification of the impurity present in pharmaceutical product. Mostly the chromatographic techniques are used for isolation of impurities, along with non-chromatographic techniques are also rarely used. Most frequently used methods that are used for isolation of the impurities, they are given below. The first one is solid phase extraction method SFE, then the liquid extraction method LLE, and the third one is the accelerated solvent extraction method. Another isolation methods are column chromatography, flash chromatography, thin layer chromatography, gas chromatography, high performance liquid chromatography, high performance thin layer chromatography, HPTLC, capillary electrophoresis, CE, and supercritical fluid chromatography, that is SFC, or supercritical fluid technology are generally used for identification of impurity. Now the characterization method. So in previous slides we have discussed how to identify and how to separate the impurity, what are the various methods. Then now we are going to discuss the characterization method. So after identification of the impurity, we are going to characterize that impurity which is present in the drug or the formulation. So again there are the various methods for characterization of that impurity. Highly sophisticated instruments such as the mass spectroscopy attached to the gas chromatography or HPLC. Nowadays we generally use the term GCMS, HPLC-MS. So mass spectroscopy is basically can measure the molecular weight of that particular impurity. They are inevitable tools in the identification of minor components like the drug impurities, their degradation products, what are the metabolites, they are in the various matrices. For the characterization of the impurities, the different techniques are used, which are again the same like the nuclear magnetic resonance spectroscopy (NMR) and the mass spectrometry, and again the GCMS, LCMS, and these methods can be used for characterization of the impurities. Miscellaneous methods. After discussing the important methods for identification of the impurities present in pharmaceutical product, this particular slide is specially for the miscellaneous method, means other than the important method, what other methods we can use for the determination of impurity. So the first one is the hyphenated methods. The hyphenated techniques used for the determination and quantification of the impurities present in pharmaceutical products, and they are generally include the liquid chromatography mass spectrometry LCMS method, then HPLC DAD-MS, means HPLC diode array detector mass spectroscopy. Then the third one is the high performance liquid chromatography diode array detection with NMR and mass spectrometry. Then GCMS gas chromatography with mass spectrometry, and then liquid chromatography with ultraviolet spectrometry, that is LC-UV method. This table is showing the various types of the impurities reported in the pharmaceuticals. So this table is showing a few examples and of the drug, and what are the impurities which are present in that particular drug product, and how we can identify that impurity, means which method we can use to identify the impurity. So the first example is donepezil. The impurities generally produced, the process related impurities can be present, and it can be determined by the simple HPLC method. In similar way, linezolid, process related impurities, and it can be determined by the HPLC method. Doxorubicin, residual solvents may sometimes found in the doxorubicin, and this can be determined by the gas chromatography. Then celecoxib, again it is containing some process related impurities which can be identified by the HPLC LCMS-MS method. Then the morphine, related substances are present in the morphine because it is a plant product, and they can be determined by the high performance liquid chromatography. Then methamphetamine, again they are generally containing the process related impurities which can be determined by the gas chromatography. Then cephedinir, related substances impurities are present and which can be determined by the HPLC method. Then the last one is the budenoside. It is generally containing some degradation products, and these degradation products can be determined by high performance liquid chromatography method. So the students, let us summarize what we have learned, or what is the conclusion we can make from the about this discussed module. So the conclusion is that we can say the presence of any undesired compound in the pharmaceuticals can pose the serious health issues. Thus, the isolation, identification, and quantification of the impurities or undesired compounds, they are very, very important and integral part in any pharmaceutical company. Various methods they have been established by the regulatory authorities for the impurity profiling. Then the pharmacopoeia limits for the various solvents and the impurities, they are also available, and a pharmaceutical product cannot be released in the market without the impurity profiling. So this impurity profiling is another important area for the students to learn so many things in the impurity profiling. So we can come across the various types of the instrument, what are the various types of the impurity, their structure identification, then what are the various degradation product can be formed during the manufacturing processes, during the storage, etc. So all these are very, very important aspects in impurity determination and impurity profiling. Thank you.